Yeah. So when I was 13, I was overweight. I was taunted as obese Elyse. What I thought about was, whoa, I'm not supposed to look like this or feel this way. And why do I feel this way? And it was those key questions. So one of my top strengths is curiosity. And we encourage all of our coaches to learn about their top strengths, and we teach that in our program.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Elyse Wagner. She's the co-founder and chief wellness officer at Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. Elyse, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Good, excited to have you. So Elyse, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I am, like you said, the co-founder of the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. This academy was purely founded out of, I would say, a pure passion and tons of love.
Yeah.
I have a personal transformational, I'll say, story that set me on my path into this field when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And there's just nothing that brings me more joy, than what we do. And I know it's so funny because people ask, like, well, what is it that you do? And, if I were to answer, I would say, yeah, well, we have a 12-month online health coach training program. But, what we're really doing, when people say, like, what do you do? Or it's like, we're actually really transforming healthcare. And it's really interesting because some people they're not yet super familiar, and it's totally okay. They're not yet familiar about, like, what does a health coach do? I think people have heard the term coach, and they most familiarize themselves with like a baseball coach or a hockey coach or basketball, or you can think of like a dance teacher.
Yeah.
And if you think about like all those people on the team, if you will, right? And the coach is the one kind of being the director overall. We train our health coaches in the players. They're not necessarily people. Instead, they are the modalities that we're teaching, which is functional medicine, functional nutrition, mind-body tools and techniques like breathing, mindfulness, relaxation, those kind of skills, the art and science of coaching, the psychology behind behavior change, and then of course the business and career aspects of coaching. So yeah, those, and the health coach is really almost like the guide, if you will. As if you can kind of visualize as you're climbing a mountain, right? The coach isn't climbing the mountain for you. They're being that guide. They're giving you helping to create a space where you can see different avenues and ways that you can go, or you could climb, or helping you to maneuver obstacles and different things that are getting in the way, and using those tools as different guides for you as well, and really putting you in control of your health. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me in a nutshell, but love what I do. Yes.
Yeah. So tell me more about kind of when this all started for you when you were 13.
Yeah. So when I was 13, I was overweight. I was taunted as obese Elyse. I never knew you could rhyme my name with something. And there you go. You have it. And it was really interesting because I could have gotten mad or angry or upset and sad. And I did get all of those things, right? But I could have let that kind of ruin me and kind of stop me in my tracks and allow what other people said about me and thought about me shape me. And in a way, I guess I kind of did, right? It made me stop, and it made me think, because what I thought about was, whoa, I'm not supposed to look like this or feel this way. And why do I feel this way? And it was those key questions. So one of my top strengths is curiosity. And we encourage all of our coaches to learn about their top strengths, and we teach that in our program. And so curiosity was that strength I had that was always kind of leading me back to, but why? And to dig for the root cause and the real answers. And so, having these questions in my mind and not really having the knowledge base to know, well, what are the answers? I went to my mom, and who's really always been my biggest advocate, go mom. Uh, and she, I said, if I really want to change. And for me, it was about losing weight, but it wasn't all about the weight. It was also like, I want to feel better. I want to look healthier. Like, I'm not supposed to have all these blemishes on my face, and my hair is not supposed to be like super, crunchy, and my nails are supposed to be strong. And so she really heard me and saw me, and she helped to find a holistic nutritionist who we decided, okay, let's start with the food first. That's something really tangible. You've made that connection that certain foods and you just don't agree. So we started there. And at the time, we did start with a registered dietitian or RDs. They wouldn't see me because of a liability issue because I was an adolescent. So we saw this holistic nutritionist, and she was truly a gift. And I'm still have a relationship with her to this day. And she sat down with me, and for an adult and a practitioner to be sitting down with a 13-year-old, to have someone who really sees you and hears you and wants to co-create a plan with you, that's, even in today's age, it's unheard of a little bit. I mean, it's starting to become more and more of like allowing the individual to really own their health. But, in 2000, that was different.
Yeah.
And so she heard me, she saw me, she asked me tons of questions, and together we co-created this plan where I felt confident to take the next steps because, most health happens outside of the doctor's office, or in this case, the nutritionist's office, or it doesn't happen in that, meeting room. It happens in real life at the grocery store, or at the dinner table, or while you're cooking dinner, and when you're, making choices and decisions. And so that really all happens in your mind. And so what we did was very simple to the outside eye, right? We took away processed foods. We put in whole real foods. So like foods that you don't need to turn over a box and read the ingredients, it's like it's that whole real food. And I think we took out some inflammatory things at that time, dairy and corn and stuff like that. And this was never about a diet. It was never about calorie counting. It was always about how do you feel inside?
Yeah.
And within 2 months of implementing this new eating lifestyle, I never called it, and to this day, I don't use the word diet. What happened was I lost about 50 pounds in 2 months, and something like stuck a pin in me, and I just like shrunk, and my hair started to grow, my skin cleared up, my nails were growing, and I was like, holy guacamole, food is medicine. And then the question really after that was, holy cow, how come more people don't know about this? And I want to be that person to get the message out there.
Yeah.
And then reality sets in, like, well, you're only 13 years old, who's really going to listen to you, And that was kind of the time where the internet was, I think, a lot more accessible to, I think it was like the AOL, like startup stuff still, and I didn't have a ton of access to the internet, and there wasn't nearly as much information as there is today. But I started reading a ton of books on nutrition, and I just knew in my bones, like, okay, that was the avenue to go down. So I did. Fast forward, I got my undergrad degree in nutritional sciences and dietetics. But what I learned, was very much in a disease paradigm, in a sickness paradigm of what's wrong with you. And again, coming from that practitioner standpoint, being, on the path to becoming a registered dietitian, it's very much from the mindset of the director of like, eat this, don't eat that. In my mind, and I've been through an entire experience, I was like, yeah, but it's not that clear cut. It's not that easy. There's so many things that go into this umbrella of health and wellness. There's beliefs, there's values around food and lifestyle and movement and culture, and there's a lot of just different elements that come into play, or ingredients, if you will, into this recipe of health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So what really, like, again, kept triggering me to dig deeper is this: why is there so much information,
Mm-hmm.
but yet people are still stuck? We're still like almost paralyzed, and we can't move or make choices and decisions that are ultimately going to serve our highest good or our highest health. And again, that's very individualized and different for everyone. So I started to get more into the behind the scenes, the psychology, what's going on with that. And I found a holistic medical school in Seattle, Washington called Bastyr, and they had a dual master's program. And they were, the dual master's was in holistic nutrition and clinical health psychology. So pairing those two together, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. Well, my third year or my second year in grad school, I got very sick. I probably saw 10 different providers. No one could come up with an answer or a reason. And my parents wanted to pull me out of school. And I was like, I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
I've spent and invested way too much time and energy and tears and everything into my health and building this out as my, my purpose, my passion, and basically my vocation, what I'm going to do, for the rest of my life. And so I went and I saw a functional medicine doctor who was also a naturopathic doctor, and an ND first, and then a functional medicine provider. And he was able to do some specific lab testing that is pretty much outside of the conventional, most, traditional doctors or conventional doctors will do. And what that allowed us to do is to get to the root cause and actually get a diagnosis. And we were able to get a diagnosis of celiac disease, an autoimmune disorder. So there was like a wave of relief, but then also a wave of overwhelm, because for those of you who aren't aware, celiac, you have to, if you want to, I mean, of course, no one's forcing you to do this, but the main way to move forward with that is obviously gut healing protocols and things like that, but to remove gluten, to live a gluten-free lifestyle. And so even though that sounds really easy and simple, it's very daunting. And even for someone who's made lifestyle changes before, who is getting a double master's and a master's specifically in nutritional sciences, that was like a whole new territory. And there was two things that happened. One was, I wish that I had someone who had the same kind of knowledge or similar knowledge base, and who had the skills that was able to meet me where I was at, and see my blind spots and help me, like that guide, right? To just kind of be the guide, like, hey, Elyse, instead of it took me like 6 months to figure out I was still getting sick because I was using the same cutting boards and the utensils. Someone could have told me that or helped me to figure that out, and it would have been better a lot quicker, right? But so I had this wish that, all right, there's got to be a way that we can get this information out to more people, or we can, have someone almost like clone me who, who could help others, because I can't be the only one suffering here. There's got to be more people, and people don't have to suffer. And then the other thought that I had was, all right, I am going to change. I am going to get healthier, and I'm going to do this through whole, real foods again, and a positive attitude, and functional medicine. And so, I went on that journey, and as I walked that journey and that path, and really started to kind of steep myself and get immersed in this field of functional medicine, I had decided, I don't want to do one-on-one coach, or I was working as a licensed mental health counselor and a certified nutritionist. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get this, again, going back to this when I was 13 years old, get this message out to the masses. So I moved back to Chicago, and I had connected with my business partner, Sandy Scheinbaum, who was a clinical psychologist for over 40 years in the Chicagoland area. And both her and I had very similar visions and values and passion. And So we started to implement this model where she would have her clients that she would see, and then as a clinical psychologist, and then she would kind of pass them on over to me to do the lifestyle behavior change to actually implement some of the changes
Mm-hmm.
in people's lives. And we were getting really amazing results.
Mm-hmm.
We both had connections and relationships with the Institute for Functional Medicine. Now they train mostly medical doctors, and
Mm-hmm.
um, we connected with them and said, there's a gap in healthcare. There's a lot of doctors, a lot of functional medicine minded doctors who are, you know, needed, and definitely
Mm-hmm.
providing that space of do this, don't do that, here's the lab testing we need, they're prescribing, they're diagnosing, they're treating, and we need that. But there is a gap in the sense of no one's really supporting the client or the patient on implementing
Mm-hmm.
behaviors to make them sustainable and long lasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where we fill the gap by training these health coaches. And that was yeah, about almost 8.5 years ago now. So we're moving into like our 9th year of business. We've trained over 4,000 health coaches internationally and growing. And we are considered the gold standard in health and wellness coaching, which is, of course, an honor, and very humbled to share that. So
Wow. Wow. Well, that's a really amazing journey, and I appreciate you trusting me with all of that, trusting our listeners with all of that, because that's a very personal, like, heartfelt reason for why this company and this business means so much to you. And you're invested in the coaches because, certainly, your health comes first, but knowing that you have the impact to help other people like what you needed growing up, you have that ability to do.
yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah, I think, we all have a story, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
that story that really illuminates kind of the path for us and allows us to move forward.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you for letting me share that.
No, absolutely. So tell me a little bit more, about the academy itself, kind of like what are you teaching? Because you talked a little bit about functional medicine, functional nutrition. Talk to me a little bit more about what that looks like.
Yeah, so at the Academy, we offer this 12-month, all online, all virtual health coaching training program.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two start dates a year, March 1st and September 1st. It's like a spring and a fall start date.
Mm-hmm.
And we were online pre-pandemic, so
Oh,
this
nice.
has always been online. And so we have literally students and graduates from over 60 different countries, and
Wow.
it's very cool. So you can do this, virtually from anywhere.
Yeah.
And just to kind of paint a picture for you, the way that we teach and we train, we offer the content on a monthly basis. So at the first of
Mm-hmm.
each month, we provide the content for that month.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, make sure that, our students are adult learners, and
Mm-hmm.
we trust that they know how to learn best for themselves and their particular lifestyle. So there's lots of ways to consume the content. They can read with it transcripts of the audios, interviews, or the webinars. We have slides as well. So if you want to take notes as you're watching, there's an app. So you don't always have to be sitting down or, connected to your computer. So you can really fit the content into your lifestyle. And so there's that piece, which is the asynchronous part of the program. The synchronous part, which is a real great differentiator, is that as you're going throughout the entire program for the entire year of the program, you're not just gaining the knowledge, but you're also gaining the skills, the tools, the techniques, and you're integrating them and learning how to work with them. So you're really coming out of the program as a confident, competent coach. You know what you're doing and how to use the tools and all of that. And we accomplish this through what's called our live training sessions. And so when our coaches hop on and they join the program and officially enroll into the program, they get to choose a live training session that's going to work for them in their time zone. And we offer lots of different times and days. But ultimately, once you get your time in your day, that's what you have for the entire year. And you meet with this cohort, you meet with this small group of people. It's like your team, 12 to 15 students from around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a course facilitator, someone who
Wow.
is a guide for you, someone who is providing feedback, like real-time feedback, and support for you. You can ask questions and you get to role play. You get to really try it out. What does it
Yeah.
feel like and
Yeah.
feel like to be a
Yeah.
coach? And so you're coming out of the program, you have a whole year of that because you get 6 hours a month in
Okay.
these live training sessions. Now, what the content, going back to that piece, what we're training you on, there's 6 main core branches. There's
Okay.
functional medicine foundations. There's functional nutrition. Now, all the functional medicine content that we teach is basically taught by the Institute for Functional Medicine faculty. So the same faculty that's training the medical doctors,
Okay.
they're also training our coaches. And they're also learning the content based on IFM, their slide decks, and it's essentially the same content.
Okay.
And it's just another great opportunity to learn from leaders in their field, in their
Yeah.
respective fields.
Wow.
And so we're also training our health coaches in the mind body tools and techniques, which is, the breathing, the mindfulness, the relaxation, all of those kind of different techniques that you can bring in and teach, your clients. And then there's the art and science of coaching and, what does that look like? What does that sound like? And the fundamentals of coaching as far as summarizing and listening,
Yeah.
truly and masterfully listening to someone.
Mhm.
And then of course there's the psychology behind eating, the psychology behind behavior
Mhm.
change. And then we have an entire branch that shares with our the students
Yeah.
how they can create their own coaching career
Okay.
and then how they can or how they want to build their own coaching business. So
Wow.
is all packed into an entire year-long program. There is a lot of content, but we really try to provide as many opportunities for our students, not just content-based,
Yeah.
but actual live opportunities. And then Sandra and myself as the founders, we offer office hours 4 times a month, 2 for Sandy, 2 for myself. That is just a remarkable way to connect with our students
Mhm.
and support them and
Yeah.
answer questions live. And so yes, that's the program in a nutshell.
Wow, wow, that's fantastic. And it sounds like kind of those office hours, the flexibility, all of the different learning styles that you're learning to hit on is what makes, the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy so special.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think I'm a little biased, but if you were to ask, any of our grads, I would say probably hands down, people come for the content, the
Hmm.
functional medicine content or the
Hmm.
positive psychology, but they end up staying part of the community because of the community. So
Hmm.
they stay for the community because it's
Hmm.
such a positive, uplifting, that
Yeah.
feeling when you're with your people,
Hmm.
they can get you. So
Yes.
that's kind of what this environment is
Yeah.
like. So it's
Yeah.
really fun to be a part of.
Do you see different trends in kind of the students who look to become coaches? Because I know you mentioned adult learners. So do you tend to see specific trends on like who tends to gravitate being, a coach with the coaching academy more?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we have a really wide array of students who come
Mhm.
and study with us. And the easiest way to kind of break it down is that about 60% of our student body does come from like a healthcare related background. Now, that has a really wide continuum. We have
Mhm.
medical doctors, we have people who have their PhDs, we have nutritionists, nurses, a lot of nurses. We have yoga instructors, personal trainers, so all the way down this healthcare continuum. And then we have about 40% of our student body who has a non-healthcare related background. Uh,
Mhm.
Engineers, marketing, I mean,
Mhm.
you name it. Yeah, I think
Wow.
someone has probably come through the program and a lot of teachers. And so
Yeah.
it really varies. But I
Yeah.
think the one thing that really pulls everyone together is they've either had a personal journey to health with functional medicine or someone they know very
Yeah.
well and dearly and love has had a personal
Yeah.
experience and seen a transformation in their own health and their own life. And that is, I think, the one pearl or the one thread that really pulls everyone
Yeah.
together from all of these different backgrounds and careers. And it's pretty amazing that it comes
Yeah.
back to this one core piece of it.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest misconception people have about functional medicine would be?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, and this, I don't, this is funny because it just kind of like whoop, popped right up to my brain when you said this. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I'm kind of hearing and seeing is that functional medicine is almost seen as like quackery sometimes, or that it's
Hmm.
super well respected. And I'm not quite sure, I'm sure there's various reasons for a lot of it, but because really functional medicine is a philosophy. It's really a way of thinking. It's a way of looking at the whole person and the whole
Hmm.
being, as well as like their whole life situation.
Hmm.
What's happening with someone on a bio, psycho, social level, as well as on an environmental level. Where are they living? That could
Hmm.
perhaps I'm thinking of like mold, for example. That
Hmm.
has, that can really get people very sick, right? And so
Hmm.
it's a way of thinking. It's a way of looking at things from a systems perspective and how everything is interconnected. And it's also a very evidence-based approach. And so
Hmm.
we are, everything, all the tools that we're using,
Hmm.
they, they're all evidence-based, and
Hmm.
we're always staying up to date on the, research as well,
Hmm.
because that's always changing. And so it's a very different way of thinking, because and this is just, in traditional medicine,
Yeah.
conventional traditional medicine, the way I like to explain it is that, and I think the way that makes the most sense is that, kind of think of a tree. You've got all these different branches, right?
Hmm.
So you've got like nephrology or kidneys, you've got pulmonology, which is, lungs, you've got cardiology, you've got all of these different branches
Hmm.
where you've got doctors specializing in, and all of that. Whereas,
Hmm.
with functional medicine, we're looking at this tree, but we're coming back to the roots and
Hmm.
go upstream. And we're also, in conventional medicine, they ask the question, what are the symptoms? What's going on? Here's a symptom. Let's treat it.
Hmm.
Well, in functional medicine, we're looking at that, but we're also looking at, and not so much the coaches because they're not treating or diagnosing, but as a functional medicine provider might, they're going to look at the whole picture, and they're also going to get to the root cause and ask the question, why?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Yeah.
If that's happening, and they see things as all interconnected. And so oftentimes when you do start to make a shift or a change in one area of your life, you start to see a change in a different area. And the
Mhm.
place, the sandbox, if you will, of functional medicine health
Yeah.
coach is really what we call the bottom of the lifestyle matrix.
Hmm.
And that includes food and nutrition,
Hmm.
exercise and movement, relationships, stress, and sleep. And
Hmm.
that's where the health coach can kind of play. That's
Hmm.
the realm,
Hmm.
help to implement, behavior change within that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a new paradigm. It's a new way of
Yeah.
thinking and asking questions. And also it's very client or patient centered.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say too, is it's very collaborative, that it's not someone saying this is what's wrong, this is what you need to do. It sounds like it's genuinely a relationship saying, this is what I'm hearing you say. Why don't we try this? Or like, because you're the expert of your own body. So being able to use that expertise and but rely on someone else and rely on that guidance to show you different ways of thinking, different ways of coping, in that whole systems perspective is so important.
Yeah, you've got it spot on. You totally get it.
I have my MSW.
There you go. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you totally get it. And I think that, there is a shift that has to be made versus this, outer directedness where we're looking to someone else, like, give me the answers or tell me what I need to do versus,
Mhm.
as the coach and from a functional medicine mindset, we really do believe that the client or the patient in front of us, has a lot of those answers within them.
Yeah.
They're the expert of their own body,
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, Elyse, if you wanted to leave our listeners with one piece of information, either about the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, or, the functional medicine space, what would you want to leave our listeners with?
One thing, sparked or made you think a little bit differently today, I would love to hear about it. You are more than welcome to reach out to me. And I can leave my email address if that's okay. And I would just say, if you want to learn more, if your interest is sparked, come and learn more and be a part of our community. And this is truly a movement. There is a whole community around this. And you can join us at functionalmedicinecoaching.org. You can email me at Elyse, ELYSE, at functionalmedicinecoaching.org, and connect with us. And we love, relationships is one of our highest values. And so, that's first and foremost what we are focused on. And if we can support you in any way, we'd love to do so. So yeah, thank you.
So people should reach you through your website, through email. Is there any other social media that people can find you on?
LinkedIn,
Okay.
Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, Instagram at Functional Med Coach or at Elyse_Wagner. YouTube. I mean, we're on all the socials.
You name it, you're on it. That's awesome. Great. All right. Well, Elyse, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, about the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. I'm sorry. It's a mouthful for me. I don't know why I'm struggling with that today.
FMCA. That's how we just say FMCA.
FMCA. I should have stuck with that. Or, functional medicine in general, really talking about it, really diving into your rich history and your investment in functional medicine. It's been really a true pleasure to be able to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time. And yeah, thank you to the listeners as well. Thank you.